Hi my loves, welcome to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to recreate this beautiful piece. Do subscribe to the channel, share to friends, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. So loves, this is our basic body. Okay, I have my shoulder line, my armhole, chest line, my bust line at 10 inches. I have my under bust and I have my half length. Okay, and this is the dress we're making. So now, from the center point of it, I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements, which is 4 inches. I'll mark it on my half length, under bust and bust line. And this is what I have. Having done this now, connect these 3 points together. And this is what we have. The next thing to do now is, on our under bust, the side, we are going to mark 1.25 inches. The same thing on our half length, 1.25 inches. Then inside, that is the center part of it, we're going to mark 1 inch. We're also going to do that on our half length. Having done this now, we connect these 3 points, these 2 points together. And this is what we have. The next thing to do now is we're going to be using the curved part of our roll to connect to our bust line. Okay, and this is what we have. Alright, so guys, the next thing to do now is you're going to come to our shoulder slope. That is our shoulder line, and this is the shoulder slope. Divide it into 2, that is, get the center point of it. And this is the center of my shoulder. I'm going to be connecting it to my bust line. So from this point now, I'm going to come ahead and connect to my bust line here. And this is what we have. Okay, so the next thing to do now is you're going to determine our overbust. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be working with 6.5 inches for my overbust. Please note, to get your overbust, standard for getting your overbust, just like what we have in the picture, all you have to do is divide what you have on the difference between your bust line and your underbust. This is 3 inches. You divide it into 2 and you'll be left with 1.5 inches. So what you do is, from your chest line, you go up by 1.5 inches. You have your overbust. Okay, but if I should do it that way, I'm not going to be able to wear the dress. Like, my bobs will be showing. So that's why I'm working with 6.5 inches. I think I'll work with 6 inches. All right, so this is my overbust. You can decide to work with 6.5 inches. So either of these two, any one of them will go. So now the next thing to do is to tighten your overbust. So to tighten your overbust, all you have to do is, so I'm going to be working with 6.5 inches. So to tighten my overbust, I'm going to come here, I'm going to mark 0.75 inches. I will do the same thing to this other area. This is for the dart intake on this area. All right, to tighten the overbust. So I'll go ahead and connect it to my bust line. And this is what we have. All right, the next step now is we're going to go ahead and insert our body measurements. I'll be starting with my half length. Here I'm going to insert my waist measurements, which is 7.5 inches. I'll come over to my chest line. Here I will insert my bust measurements, which is 8.75 inches. And this is what we have. Now we'll go back to our half length. This point now is going off. These areas are going off. So we need to add it back to our pattern paper. We remove 2.25 inches here, adding it back to the pattern paper. This is what I have. Same thing on this chest line. I'm going to measure what I have. I have 0.75 inches. I'll add it back to my pattern paper. Then at the overbust, which is here, we have 1.5 inches. We'll go ahead to add it back to our pattern paper. But for this, I'm going to be placing it on a slant form this way. And this is what I have. Just a little bit of a slant. It's not too obvious. So this is what we have. Now I'll go ahead and retrace my armhole at this point. And this is what we have. All right, now the next thing to do is we're going to be connecting from this point. Now we'll connect down to our half length, that is from the chest line to our half length. Please note that this is not your actual seam allowance. This is the inches we have removed from our pattern paper. We added it back to our paper. Okay, now we're going to be working with the upper area, that is the neck area of our dress. Okay, so first thing first is here. Now we have our overbust. I'm going to mark half an inch from here, from our depth intake, this dart leg that we have here. I'm going to go ahead to mark half an inch. Okay, so from that half an inch now, I'm going to be connecting to my neck width, which is 3 inches. And this is what we have. All right, so we'll go ahead to cut out this piece. Now, if you want yours to have a sweetheart neck, just like what we have in the picture, all you have to do is determine how deep you want your sweetheart neck to be. Do you want it to be on your chest line? Do you want it to get down to your bust line? For this now, we have it on the bust line, all right, a few inches before the bust line, all right. But for this, I'm going to be keeping it on 1 inch. I'm going to be keeping it 1 inch above my chest line, all right. So I'll go ahead now to connect these points together. So from here now, where I have my overbust, I'm going to connect to my 1 inch, or maybe 1.5 inches below, before my chest line. And this is what I have for my dress. Please note that it's not compulsory you're going to do it the way I'm doing it. You can decide to keep it on your bust line. You can decide to keep it 1 inch below your bust line or your chest line. For what we have in this, it is on the chest line or half an inch below the chest line. So now the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut this piece out. So this is our yoke. Alright. This is what we have. All you have to do now is to transfer this to your fabric. So now the first thing first I did was to place my tape and marked out my full length. And this is from my half length to my full length. So my half length is 16 inches. So this is my half length. This is the startup of my half length. Okay. So here now I'm going to insert my waist measurement, which is 7.5 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then from that point now, where we have our half length, we go down to 9 inches. At 9 inches, we will insert our hip measurement, which is 9.5, 9.75 plus 2 inches seam allowance. And this is what we have. So from here now, I'm going to connect to this spot, to the waist. Now from the hip, I'm going to get down to the base of my gown, or the base of our material. Okay. So observing done that now, we'll go ahead to cut out this piece. Loves, this is for our front. These are front piece. We use this to cut out our back piece, but our back piece had 1.5 inches for our zipper allowance. Now we're going to get down to the bottom of our skirt, that is the base of our skirt. From the base, we're going to go up by 22 inches. This is for our slit opening, alright, and this is the 22 inches here. Okay, so now from the center of it, that is where we have our 22 inches, we're going to mark 1/2 inch, okay, to make a curve into that 22 inches we have. So from here now, we're going to cut all the way down to the bottom. So this way. This is what you mean. Okay, this 1/2 inch is for stitching allowance to your lining piece, and this is our zip allowance. Now we're going to go ahead to cut this open. So the next thing we are cutting out now is our sleeve. Okay, so for this I'm going to be working with 23.5 inches, right, and this is what I have here. So I'm going to mark it. I'm sorry if my chalk is very faint, you can't see it clearly, but just listen to what I'm saying. So this is the start point of my sleeve. So from there now I'm going to go down by 4 inches, which is my cap height here. Okay, so at this point now I'm going to insert my bust measurements, which is 8.75 inches plus seam allowance. All right, this is what I have. Now I'm going to come to the base of the sleeve and I'm going to insert what I have as my bust measurements here. That is what I have here, because this came off as a funnel hand. So this is my bust measurements. Alright, now from this point I'm going to be marking down to that end. Yes, you'll be like, oh, it didn't turn out the way it should turn out because this is in kind of another form. But note that when you are shaping your dress, you're not shaping from this point, you're shaping from your actual bust measurements, which is 8.5 or 8.75 inches. So your shaping is going to come this way. From here now, it's going to go down to that point. So what we have to do now is, here now we have our bust measurements. I'm going to go ahead to insert about 1.5 inches to it to enable me create that funnel sleeve that I'm looking for. So from here now, while shaping your dress, this is the actual line you're going to cut out, but while shaping, you're going to shape from this point where you have your 1.5 inches to your bust measurements, which is here. All right, to give you that funnel sleeve. If you want your own to be more exaggerated, like you want the sleeve to be well big, what you have to do is go ahead and adjust it more. Maybe from here you go ahead to adjust it to this point, so that when you create your sleeve, you're going to be having a big funnel sleeve. All right, so now the next thing is to trace out our cap height. So from the start point of our sleeve, from the bust measurements we have, we're going to go ahead and connect to the tip of our sleeve. Now I'll go ahead to cut this out, and this is what I have. So I'm going to cut this now. I'm here to decide if I want my sleeve to be more funnel or not. So that's why I left it at this point. So this is what we have for our sleeve. So I'll use this to cut out another piece. So guys, this is for my back piece. I went ahead to cut it. I'm sorry I did it offline or off the camera, please. This is just the normal way you cut out your back piece. That is what I did here. Okay, that's what we have for our back piece. So we'll keep this aside, then let's work on the front. So this is for my side piece, the side piece of my dress. All right, so on the side I'm going to add my seam allowance. Okay, Then on the center, which is here, I'm going to be adding half an inch. Please note that this half an inch is for joining of the bustier together. That is why I'm adding half an inch to the side. Sorry, my chalk might be faint. And this is what we have. Now for this upper part, I'm going to be adding, let's say, just 4 inches, not much. Not up to half an inch. And this is what we have, okay? So we'll keep this aside. So look, this is for my center piece. I also went ahead to add half an inch on this side, but not on the center because it's on a fold, okay? And we'll go ahead to cut this off. For the upper part of it, I think I added just 1/4 of an inch, not so much. So guys, this is what we have. So what we have to do now is to cut out a lining piece for each of our bustier pieces. So now this is for our yoke, that is the neck area of our dress. Now this is our pattern paper, and this, I want this design to be on my dress. So what I have to do is I have to adjust it to fit into this design this way, okay? And I'll go ahead to cut it out. So this is what we'll be left with when we are done. This is what it will look like. Okay. So now this is our bustier pieces. I went ahead to cut out my breast wadding, and this is what I have. Now we're going to join these 3 pieces together, okay? So now this is my bustier pieces. I've gone ahead to join it together, and this is what I have. So now we're going to be doing some trimming off of SXs and joining of our yoke, that is the upper part of our bustier, the upper part of our dress, the neck area of our dress, okay? So now first thing first is from here. Now remember we removed half an inch, that is where our yoke or neckline is starting off from, where we're going to place it. So here now I'm going to find my half an inch, which is here, and I'm going to place, that is where my neck piece is going to be, that is my yoke piece. Now for here, now we're going to be trimming off these excesses we have here. Okay, this is what we have. Now what I have to do is just to place this here. Then I'm going to introduce my lining piece. This is my lining piece. I'm also going to place it on top. Please note that we're also going to be trimming off our lining piece. So what you have to do now is, first and first, is hold this down with your pin. Alright, so same thing we did here, that's the same thing I'm also going to be doing to this other part. So from this point, all I have to do is find my half an inch, place my my lace piece, that is the neck area of my lace. Place this on top this way, secure it down with a pin, and this is what I have. Then I'll go ahead and trim off. Sorry. So what you have to do now is go over to your sewing machine, run a stitch on top of your dress. That is the lining piece and your bustier pieces. So now, when we are done turning it out to the lining piece, this is what we have for our bustier. Okay, so what you have to do now is to work on your back piece and the bottom part, that is the skirt part of the gown. That's what we'll work on. So love, this is for my back piece. Okay, I've gone ahead to join it with that's the upper back and the down back together, and this is what I have. I turned it out with my bridal satin, my dog face, and this is what I have. Now the next step now is I'm going to be marking my darts intake, my darts for my back piece. Okay, so first step first, I'm going to be marking my zip allowance. We used 1.5 inches, so let's say we stitched with stitch with 1/4 of an inch, so we'll be left with 1.25 inches. Now from here now, I'm going to go ahead and mark my nipple to nipple measurements, which is 4 inches. So from this joint, I'm going to be left with, it's going to be coming down 1 inch below your chest line. So now from my chest line to my half length, I have 8.5 inches. So what I have here is 7.5 inches. So this is it here. Then from the waist, I'm going to go down to 4.5 inches. This is what we have for our dart intake. So we'll go ahead and stitch on it. So guys, at this point now, I've gone ahead to fix my dart. Okay, run a stitch on my dart. Now I'm going to fix my zip. I've already joined the two back pieces together. Okay, leave a spacing for my zip, so I'll go ahead and fix my zip. So loves, the next thing we are doing now is to join our shoulders together. That is the back shoulder and the front shoulder. Now I'm going to be placing my front shoulder in between my back shoulder. Okay, the back piece has a lining piece, so I'll place it in between and run a stitch on it. So loves, when I'm done, this is what I have. Okay, this is what it will look like on the shoulder. The next thing I went ahead to do was to fix my zip, fix my sleeve to my armhole area, and this is what I have. Sorry, I lost the clip of that. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe. See you in our subsequent tutorials. Bye.